Welcome back to another episode of Hometown Heroes Podcast with your host, Thomas Fallon. Today, we have a very special guest, Mr. DJ Yokley. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today.
You bet, buddy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm a big fan of your show. I'm a big fan of the podcast. It's an honor to be on it, bud.
Thank you. It's an honor to have you here today.
Thank you.
Just before we begin, I wanted to give a little bit of background and appreciation for YSN and all that DJ does. As you know, the virus has influenced our lives in many ways, and especially the sports world. And whether that is, fans not being in attendance or, close relatives or family members not being able to go to your games, DJ Yokley and YSN help solve that problems. Sports in general brings people together. It brings people together in times of need like these ones. And DJ and YSN helped people get to be able to see friends, family, and whoever in these times of need, and help them, ease what we were all going through and help bring a little sense of normalcy back into our lives. So I just want to say thank you to DJ and thank you to YSN for, helping us achieve that.
Hey man, it's our honor. It's what we do. I mean, it's just like everybody else, and it's not like we're heroes or anything from any standpoint. The healthcare workers, doctors, everybody out there that's keeping people alive and keeping people together. That's who the real heroes are, and we're just trying to do our part. Sports is very important to me personally for a lot of different reasons that I'm sure we're going to talk about. But at the end of the day, it boils down to just us being a United States and trying to do what's best for our country and best for our planet.
Right. So what did you feel like was missing in this area in terms of sports and, in starting YSN?
Wow, that's a loaded question right off the jump. I like it. So let's spin back the hands of time here a little bit. I was 14 years old when I got into the quote-unquote broadcast game. My mom, I was not a good student. I was a 2.5 student at best, and that was my best days. I needed some extra credit. So what I did was my mom forced me to go into our science teacher, who was coincidentally the athletic director at the time, Rick Eisnick, and ask for extra credit for my science class to pass it. And he said, well, I need a freshman announcer for the PA. And that's how it started. I got behind the microphone and, where it was usually someone just broadcasting and a monotone voice or no voice at all. I tried to give it my all. I acted like I was the Chicago Bulls announcer. I was drowning out the other team. With another team make a basket, it would be Jones for two. And we'd make a basket and be like, McKay from downtown, that stuff. Where I kind of developed a passion for, being in front of the microphone, or being behind the microphone, actually, and just entertaining. And sports was a huge part of who I was growing up. It's a huge part of who I am now. It gives me purpose. It gives a lot of people purpose in this world to go and do stuff and learning how to work hard at things. When I graduated, it was from Westminster. It was 6 years of work and working for somebody else and somebody else telling you what the right thing is to do. And I mean, everybody needs to learn the ropes and kind of learn their craft a little bit and kind of hone it. But I'm a small town guy from East Palestine. And when I look at it, I thought, why aren't more people coming to small towns? Why are they always going to the bigger towns, the bigger cities, schools, private schools? We should all be sharing the same plate, and it just wasn't happening. And I promised myself, if I ever had the chance to own my own company or own my own network or station, that we would cover everybody. And here we are. I'm 35 years old. Started the company when I was 31 and change. And we're up to 53 schools and over a dozen organizations, and trying to make sure everybody gets a platform to play sports on.
Wow, that's amazing. So initially, what really sparked the idea of YSN, for you?
It's something I always wanted to do. We have such a great sports base here in the Mahoning Valley, in Western Pennsylvania as well. So when you stand back and look at it, I always thought there was two major factors of entertainment and what people talk about in this area, and to me it's weather in sports, and you have to own. In order, YouTube will tell you if you want ownership over a niche, you got to have 10% of whatever it is. So if you're going to have ownership over the sports area, you got to have 10% of the sports area. So it was our goal to walk in and say, if there's 40 schools here, we need 10%. So that would put us at 4 schools, and we got 4 schools right off the jump. We were turned down 29 times. I'll tell you that, but we were able to jump in and go that route and grow it and grow it and grow it. But for us, at the end of the day, it all comes down to supporting kids and really supporting the districts. And in a scenario like this, we were able to give almost $30,000. I think we were like $800 short of giving $30,000 back to schools this year, and schools that partner with YSN. So, and that has very little to do with us and more to do with the support system that is what we call YS Nation, our fan base, and people just want sports around this valley. So we knew that it was going to be tough. We took some bumps on the chin and some gut punches this past year. With how we executed it, but to hand these checks over to athletic directors, commissioners, presidents, there's nothing like it, because that's we're in it for the kids, and the proof's in the pudding.
Right. You just talked about it a little bit, but what was your goal and idea between choosing the name, YSN and your sports network?
So YSN, I always was very kind of intrigued by the mystique that is ESPN, because up until lately, people didn't really know what ESPN stood for. They just identified with it, right? It was sports. They knew the S stood for sports, and that's kind of what we based it around. So there are so many different renditions and examples of what YSN is, and I kind of smile every time somebody tells me what it is to them, because that's what I wanted it to be. Officially, it's your sports network. It started out, it was the Yokley Scott network, and then I looked at Brian, who's the co-founder, and I thought, no, that's way too egotistical. People are going to see right through that. So we kind of pivoted to the Your Sports Network, which I wanted the entire time. But one of the bigger issues was nobody knew how to spell the right choosing of your. So we had to battle through that a little bit. And then, people often refer to it as the Youngstown Sports Network and the Youth Sports Network. And at first, it's kind of like that new baby, right? When you have a new kid, everybody, no, you can't tell me my kid's ugly. You just go with it after a while. You're just like, yeah, well, that's your opinion. That's one. And then like everybody, my friends, the guys that work for us at YSN especially, they get so peeved about Youngstown Sports Network, and I just laugh and I say, you know what? The reason I like your sports network is because it belongs to you. It belongs to the fans. And if you want to say it's the Youngstown Sports Network, go right ahead. You know what I mean? Like that's the best part of having this is, we're not afraid to change. We're not afraid to pivot. We're not afraid to be wrong and to fail. We just want a platform that everybody can be proud of. We know we're going to slip up from time to time, and that's okay, because I think that is kind of a direct reflection of who we are as people, as humans. Is we're going to slip, we're going to fail. But as long as we stand up and you see us in the gym the next night, or you see us at the ball game the next day, that's what I'm most proud of, and that's why I think it's your sports network is we reflect the fan, we reflect you, people like you, TV.
Thank you. And as you talked about it, is failing. As you said, why sports are important to me. I'm going to read this to everyone because I think This is really nice. It teaches life lessons before life has a chance to educate us. How to win, how to lose, playing hurt, hot and cold streaks. Hard work doesn't always get rewarded, but most of all, being resilient will bring you closest to where you want to be.
I mean, that's how I live my life. I'm not tall, I'm not the strongest, I'm not the fastest, I'm certainly not the biggest. But I learned quickly that having a great work ethic is 90% of the battle. If you're prepared, if you work hard, you're not always gonna win. And I'll be honest, like there's a lot of people that would love winning at everything they did every single time they suited up or prepared. I prepare to win by preparing to lose, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm ready, if we win. I'm prepared if we win. But I've always learned more from my losses because I'm not afraid to call trick plays. I'm not afraid to push the envelope. Not afraid to do any of that stuff. And I wanted a business that reflected that because I think, especially in the sports world, when we came out, the sports world was getting stale. It's 30-second highlights. It's 10-second interviews. I care about what a kid does and what a student athlete does on the field. Trust me, I do. But I also care about their character. I care about who they are, who their role models are, why they are the way they are. And I think there's a lot more intrigue to that, and putting brackets around it, putting time limits and things of that nature. I know it needs to be done on a network level, but for us, we didn't have that. So that's why it's fun that we can have an hour-long show that, we say it's going to run 60 minutes, and if it runs 72, oh well. It's a beautiful thing because you don't want to cut off conversation in the middle of a conversation. Yeah. So from our standpoint. I'm a firm believer that as long as I can stand back up and the guys around me and girls around me can stand up, we're gonna win because we're gonna learn from that last punch that was thrown. Stand back up. Okay, if that's all you got, you're in trouble because we're gonna keep on coming at you. So it's embedded in my DNA somehow, somewhere. My parents weren't athletes. But the work ethic was really stressed in my house, and I put that to the baseball diamond. I was a football player as well, and I figured, I can get ahead because that's how I did it on the field. That's how I did it on the whenever I applied myself in sports, and if you can do it now in the real world, so to speak, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah, someone that always talks about work ethic is Coach Pro, our football coach. He always says he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest, but he said, I'll never let someone outwork me. And, that struck the chord with me, and I think a lot of our football players, because most of the time we're not going to the game. We're usually not the biggest team, and we work hard, though. I don't know if there was any a team that worked as hard as us in the offseason. He worked us, and we knew what we had, and we knew going in that we had to work, though. And we faced challenges. We got knocked down a couple times, but it's what you do after that. And I think that shows your character, and like you said, so
thing I was most impressed with that team, and I continue to be impressed with every team that puts on the K on the side of their hat, is it doesn't matter how many of you there are, and it doesn't matter how big you are. The end result. It's always funny for me to see this because as an outsider, you don't see that everywhere you go, and that's why I always walk away so impressed with what you do at JFK, whether it's on the field or off. Is there's no give to any of the guys and girls that walk those hallways, whether it be teachers or students or administration, and watching that state championship, most people would walk away from that and say, "Oh, that was the low of my life." And that, you talk to your team, and you mentioned Coach Pro. The big thing was a seat at the table, right? Got your seat at the table. Now it's the next 6 months is going to be how you respond from that loss, and it's never about what you lose. It's about what the next person can bring to that table, and I'm excited to see it. I love what the values are at Warren JFK. Kennedy has a special place in my heart. Like I told you, if I wasn't from East Palestine and had to take a trip on Southwest to get to to Warren, I'd probably be attending myself. But man, it's amazing what you do there. And I'm so proud that Warren JFK is a part of the YSN family, and it continues to drive me and inspire me every day, especially your administrators and the parents and especially the students.
We appreciate that. I know in talking to Miss Consiglio, she loved YSN and everything you do, and everyone does, and appreciates, all the work you do. Just to touch base on, being someone that, can be overlooked sometimes. I have a twin brother, 6'4", 270 pounds. Then
Monster.
I'm 5'10" on a gimme, and just having that work ethic, like you said, it's something that drives me every day, and helps not just me but a lot of people around us at the school, because like I said, none of us are the biggest kids, but that's something we got is we'll never give up, and we'll never stop working.
Good, man. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of what you do personally. I love, I've never met a JFK graduate, alumni, or student that I haven't just been walked away completely impressed with, and you embody that perfectly.
Thank you. So I know we touched a little bit on this, but explain what sports meant to you, as an athlete, and now what they mean to you, and how they have influenced your life.
Yeah, so it's a little bit different. I mean, growing up, like I said, as just a kid in Palestine, I was the average sized kid for a while, and all of a sudden everybody kept on growing, and I stopped in about 7th grade, and sports was always there. It wasn't always excelling from a talent standpoint, but you always knew that I wasn't gonna not run to first base, or I wasn't not gonna finish the play in football. You could count on me. There's a reliability factor to that. And from my standpoint now, like I said, I take the work ethic that I learned in sports and I drive it into business. And Mark Cuban once said that the best sport out there is owning a company, is being in business, because business is a sport. I mean, it's an ultra competitive nature, and it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and if it's 4th and 1 on the goal line and you've got something, you better be all in. If you hesitate, you're not gonna make it in business, just the way you're not gonna make it on 4th and goal at the 1. So for me, it's been a driver for me. It's learning other people's tendencies. I was big on watching film. I was big on studying my mechanics, going all in on my strengths. So being a catcher, I knew that I had to be 2 pitches ahead of the batter, and sometimes 2 pitches ahead of the pitcher, even, and setting up pitches inside, outside, high, and low. And it's a lot like that, because if we weren't trying to look ahead and look into the crystal ball, so to speak, we never would have been doing streaming. We never would have bought the cameras for our video streams, and we would have had big time problems when Corona came around, because all people would get would be almost like an audio feed, and there's not a whole lot of revenue there. For those who don't know, I mean, it's glorified radio. It's a little cleaner than you get on the radio, but nobody's going to pay for that. And with video, we were able to gain revenue and help out the districts in the same way. So sports has always helped me, and I kind of always use the sports analogies to help other people understand why we do what we do. And for us, it all comes down to moving the chains, right? That's my favorite analogy. It's always moving the chains. And there's people that perceive that we're on the 10-yard line getting ready to score, but when I look at it, we're on the 3-yard line with our backs up against our own goal line. So I always think that there's room for improvement. I always think that it's us against the world and YSN versus everybody. Not always a good mentality, but it's one that I had to have in my nature to be where we are today. So I embrace it. I'm getting softer by the day, being a dad now. So I'm kind of holding on to that as long as I possibly can, because I've seen people go from being absolutely scruff and gritty to soft over the course of the years, and and being a dad to two twin girls is tough enough, and I seem to get softer and softer every time they turn Mickey on. So,
oh, that's so nice. Just like me and my brother, we're twins.
That's it, dude. You guys got a special bond. I'll be asking you all kinds of questions when we get off the air. Trust me.
So, we know a little bit of what YSN is built on, but for those that don't know, talk about the 3 pillars that YSN is built on.
Yeah, sure. So it's 3 pillars. It's loyal, local, and live. And, it's more than just a catchphrase. It's more than fancy. Those are I try telling people those are the only L's we want to have. Those are the only L's we invite. But we're loyal to everything. We're loyal to our community. We're loyal to our fan base. We're loyal to the people who call the games, our team. We're loyal to our districts that bring us in. Not many people, I guess, I thought not many people knew. I guess everybody knows now, but there's no fee for these schools to bring us in. So we try to be loyal to them. No bad news. Like if a coach leaves or gets fired or is disciplined, you're not going to see that or hear that on YSN necessarily. Especially, in stories and things of that nature. Try to stay away from that. Local, local is always going to be relative. That's what I tell the guys. So it's not all is lost on that part, on that pillar. But we want you to be a homer when you announce the games. Like we get, I don't want to say in trouble. We get mocked. We get ridiculed for being a homer when you're supposed to be even keel. But we were based around being excited for the teams that represent us and we represent, because they're rolling the dice on us, and guess what? We're going to reward them for that. So when we get excited for teams, it's because they brought us in to be part of their family the same way that we did for them. So that's the local part of it. And live is the biggest one, and it's flying without a net is the easiest way I can put it. I mean, everybody has been to the circus or seen a circus on television or somewhere along the line. Being live is a tightrope, right? And you're walking that tightrope, and there's nothing out there other than shutting the stream off completely that is going to save you if you slip up and you make mistakes. So you have to actively be able to kind of pivot and transition in a different conversation if conversation goes south. And that's what people don't realize. The majority of things that they watch nowadays, the majority of things that they consume are prepackaged and recorded. We're not. We don't record our stuff other than if it's a promo or something like that. This, like right now, live. And there's not going to be a whole lot of editing to it, which is why I love it. And we don't believe in any other way. We believe in being real, authentic, and that's why it's in what we do. It's our pillar, because we're gonna catch heat, but you know what? You got the real side of us. So if there's a collision that we thought is a real big hit, you're gonna hear the oohs and ahs, and sometimes we try not to criticize referees and officials, but sometimes you're gonna get the real side of that, and it's live, because you want that. You want that human element to it, and that's what we promote: loyal, local, and live. And I think it's worked for us so far, and we'll continue to do that moving forward.
Yes, I mean, as you can see in the hype videos, that I love that the hypeness and the energy and that you bring, that Don brings, and everyone brings, because it's that one Gabe made that play where it tipped ball. That was I love that. That got me hyped, and I said I want this in the hype video too, and I loved it.
Dude, I was so proud of you, because we were at that championship game, and I looked over, and they have this Jumbotron in the end zone, and it was your video, dude. And I was so proud at that moment, because knowing who you are and what you've done, that was a moment that I can only imagine how you felt. I don't know if you were there or not, got to see it on the board, but I can only imagine the pride just beaming off your face. There was obviously it was limited fans, but the OHSA themselves, I mean, that's the magna cum laude. They were posting your stuff, and I was proud for you, man. That was a big moment in your career.
Yeah, I'd like to say this. I don't tell this to a lot of people, but I don't think there's many people that represent Kenny as much as I do, and what Blue Pride and what we represent, and that's something I kind of take pride in. But it's the videos, like, people don't understand what goes into them. What all I have to do to get them.
It's a lot.
I have to put them in MP4 and all this, but it's about what it does, and like I said, it brings people together, and like YSN does. It was a very proud moment for me, like you said. And
you killed it, man. You deserve everything you get from it. And I know a lot of people loved it on social media, and I was just, you and I don't even cross paths very much, but I know who you are and what you're about, and I just sat there and smiled because it's stuff like that it's the work that you do behind the scenes that people don't know about that makes it that much prideful when you get an accomplishment like you did. And it's not like anybody's sending you a trophy or anything, but you seem like the kind of guy that doesn't need one to be proud of his work. So kudos to you, man.
Thank you. And like you said, is the work behind the scenes. And I watched the MLO Bros. I didn't really know them, but I watched the video with you, and just to get some background and just know you, and I can tell, like, you go all out, and you don't leave anything on the table. And if, like you said, if you get that, if you fall down, you're getting back up, and you're bringing everything. And I think sports does that, and business is just as similar, and it teaches us about life. And I think that's why sports is such a great representation of life.
Nailed it, dude. I mean, 100%. It's not about. I mean, I feel bad because I've been watching Rocky like 24/7 lately, and in Balboa he says it's not about how hard you get hit or how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you get hit and keep moving forward. And truer words have never been spoken. And I know it's a movie, and everybody can watch Rudy and get pumped up and imagine themselves in his shoes. But if you just kind of create yourself, I'm big into, saying it into the universe and making it come true, because I don't believe that God puts anything on your plate that you can't handle, good, bad, or indifferent. So, being an entrepreneur, being an influencer, being a dad now, I was a village councilman. There's a lot of things that I did that didn't necessarily want to do. I was just called to do it. And this is something I'm very passionate about, as you are with this podcast and about your broadcasting career. It's just when you're called to do something, when you find that niche and you feel good about it, and you just keep working on your craft, you get better at it. And sometimes you don't get the credit, which is fine. Your brother knows more than most that being an offensive or defensive lineman, you're not going to get a whole lot of credit. But if the team wins, you feel good about it. And I've waited my whole life to be the quarterback, but I've always told people, that come into YSN, it's an open floor plan. And there's a reason for that. It's because when you're on a football field, when you're on a baseball diamond, there's no offices. A quarterback's office is around his linemen. And I feel the same way. Is the people who are there to help, I'm going to help support as well. So, if there's linemen on YSN, it's the guys that are punching the clock every day, like Quinn Pushkar and Steve Leslie. The main one's going to be our co-founder, Brian Scott, who makes sure our stuff gets on the air, and calls me out when I have crazy ideas that are too crazy, probably at the time, and kind of scales me back a little bit because I can get out of hand quickly with growing things to maximum capacity and running up credit card bills pretty quick. But it's their belief in me of being able to deliver a touchdown pass when it counts that keeps me going. And there's a lot of people that have said that, okay, well, YSN is DJ Yokley and DJ Yokley is YSN, and it couldn't be further from the truth. YSN, there's so many cogs on that wheel that people don't realize, whether they're on the air or off. We've got announcers that are better than I am, and I'm proud of that. We've got people that are better technically behind the scenes than I am, and I'm proud of that. I learn from everybody, and I try to. And if you haven't learned about the law of the lid, I implore you to do that, because if you're a 6 out of 10 and you try to hold somebody back just because you're higher on the pyramid than they are, then you're not going to go very far in life. So I've got some 10s in different categories that I let lead the way, and again, very proud to do so, because that means I'm recruiting good talent to come in and work around a brand that I helped create. And I want to learn every day. I want to learn from you. You're very good at a lot of things that you do. And I want to learn from you and how you do the things you do, why you do it. Hopefully if we learn enough, we help each other and take YSN and this area to heights that have never been seen.
Yeah. A little bit of, what you said is people saying congratulations to you or this or that. But like you said, when I was, I like to do background and really see, I learned about the pillars of YSN and everything,
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking through, the directory and all who is a part of YSN. And, seeing everyone, I was like, this is really like, there's a lot of people behind the scenes, like we were talking about, that help make this work, And like the quarterback is only strong as his weakest link, as his lineman. And, everyone makes a role in making YSN successful. The people that come on my show help make my podcast successful, because ultimately the thing that makes me happy is when other people acknowledge people like you. That's what my goal is to help people acknowledge what you, like you talked about, the frontline workers and everyone else is doing. That's what makes me happy. So that's what I just wanted to, put that out there.
Amen, brother. I mean, it's always about the other guy, right? Other gal. So, I mean, if you continue to point the direction of the real heroes, what you're doing, again, I'm honored to be on their show, because in no sense of the word do I feel I'm a hero. It's the other people that you've interviewed that really have opened a lot of eyes, I think, around the area. And there's a lot of people that are going to be grateful for that, and I'm one of them. I think that you're doing great work. You're a fine young man, and you continue to just put out great work that is a professional quality. And the future is very bright for you, and it's very bright for your family. And I can't wait to see what you do. And hopefully, at some point I can just, say I knew him when.
Thank you. And to make a point of that is, I feel that everyone is a hero in their own way. And if I could have everyone on for something they've done great, I wish I could. And like I said, you have, though. YSN has, because sports brings people together, and people now more than ever have realized that little things in life matter right now, because we can't, some of the things we can't do them. We can't gather with as a group of family right now. We can't gather at a sporting event, do pep rallies or whatever, gather at a football event. Little things like, even for us, going to the victory bell, and YSN providing, footage for your family members, friends to be able to see, that goes a long way, trust me. And it's hard to explain in words. So that is something that a hero does. And that's why I wanted to recognize you and YSN for, all that you've done.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. It warms my heart, and again, such an honor.
So, talk about what the future holds for YSN and the football season, basketball season, and all sports, as we wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. I wish I knew. I've got some idea of what we're looking to do. We were fortunate this basketball season to have a sponsor step up, and our sponsors have been fantastic since the jump. Greg Burbick and G. Burbick Firms was our first ever sponsor. He never even flinched at it. He said, I know this is going to be big, and took the leap with us at YSN. And this year, we have garnered a great relationship with WRS Wealth Advisors out of Boardman. And they said, listen, we don't want anybody paying for basketball. We want to cover the entire tab, tell us what it costs, and we're not trying to bankrupt them. We're just trying to give them a chance to showcase what this area doesn't know naturally about our businesses around here, small businesses, is they care so much about sports. care so much about the kids, the student athletes, the coaches, the communities that these sports are played in, that, you know, Tom Klim and his whole team said, you know what, we want this. We want to do this for the community, and they stepped up and did it. So that was a big one for us. We had the pay-per-view that is now at our fingertips. We're working on some stuff in beta to get that changed up, and hopefully next year, you know, if that's available and an option for our viewers again, we'll do it again. We're working on some artificial intelligence cameras through a company to make sure that, you know, the camera actually will move over the field, and there's no camera operator. So it'll open up our broadcasters to focus more on the game and not so much on the camera work, which sometimes, as people know or don't know, can be punchy because, well, maybe there's just one guy in the booth that's doing the play-by-play, the color, as well as running the camera, running the commercials, and doing all that stuff. We're a low budget operation, and I'll be the first to admit that. We're working on you know, some special things to upgrade our production value. But the most important thing to us is always going to be getting the kids' names out there, recognizing the student athletes, the coaches, the programs in the schools, because they deserve it, because they've worked hard, because they will continue to work hard. And Northeast Ohio is a hotbed not only for sports, but for the highest character of anywhere in the United States. And I stand by that against anybody, because we are Youngstown, we are Grit City, USA, and nobody is going to outwork us. So there's got to be somebody out there representing that, and I'm just absolutely honored and privileged to be a small part of it.
Yeah, for sure. You know, and talking about how big sports are to these, you know, local businesses, you know, not only not only does it, you know, bring people together, I think it links our businesses and us as people in general. You know, just, you know, as simple or how complex as however you want to call it, sports, but it's so much bigger than just a ball or whatever it is, because like I said, it links and it brings us together. And,
No doubt.
you know, I think it's amazing what sports can do.